The Toronto Blue Jays pick up a big first series sweep against the Nationals. They go into an off day. Mets coming up. It was much needed.
You are Locked On Blue Jays, your daily Toronto Blue Jays podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to Locked On Blue Jays. Thank you for making Locked On Blue Jays your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
As always, I'm Braden Iwasko. He's Carter First. You can find us on Twitter, Braden5Iwasko, Carter First too, as well on Instagram and TikTok at Locked On Blue Jays. If you're new here to YouTube or you're listening anywhere else, make sure you head over to the YouTube page anyway and you drop a subscription there so you guys get notified if we go live. Podcast goes up, short, video, whatever it might be. We got a lot of content coming for you guys this year, so make sure you do hit that subscribe button. Carter, how do you feel? First sweep of the year, Easton Lucas on the mound. Not really sure what you're going to get out of him. And it seems like everything to start the season is going right for this Toronto Blue Jays team. Again, only 5 games in. We don't want to make too many assumptions early on. But at the end of the day, your team is getting hits in bunches. Really, the top of our order isn't as explosive as we want them to be, and yet this team is still finding ways to win. Your 5th starter goes down in Max Scherzer. Alek Manoah is not ready, so you have to turn to a guy like Easton Lucas, and he gets the job done. I got to give a shout out to John Schneider for this. Great managerial decision about making this game the game for Easton Lucas. It allows you to use anybody you want from your bullpen with the off day coming as you guys are watching this today. And all around, there were great decisions made, great plays by the bottom of your order. Guys like Myles Straw, guys like Ernie Clement, all these people, all these guys, Tyler Heineman. Everything is going this Toronto Blue Jays way so far. And that could come crashing down on us very quick. But I'm just saying, as the start of the year, you got to enjoy where you're at, no?
I don't think anyone in their right mind should be able to complain about a team starting 5-2, going 5-2 in a 7-game homestand to start the season. I don't care if it's the Washington Nationals. I don't care if it's the Chicago White Sox. You sweep a baseball team. That is something to get excited about. It is hard to win 3 baseball games in a row just because it is literally baseball. You can have one swing of the bat change the entirety of an outing. One pitch has changed the entirety of an outing. Winning 3 games in a row against any single baseball team is something to be excited for and to celebrate. 5-2. If you could have told me first week of the season the Toronto Blue Jays are 5-2 no matter how they get there, that is something I'm taking every single day of the week. They put themselves in a pretty good spot going to the gauntlet of the schedule that they do have coming up. And they put themselves in a good spot where they can, again, drop a few games you don't want them to. But in the event where, you're playing some good baseball teams, not expecting to win every single series, they did give themselves a little bit of leeway. Another nice thing is they had 10 games in every single game of this series. Mackenzie Gore, one of the better pitchers on the Washington Nationals, probably the best starter on the Nationals. Pretty good pitcher in terms of MLB baseball as well. Just had a 13 strikeout outing the game before. They had him in trouble, and they had him in trouble early on. The overall stat line doesn't really reflect a terrible day for Mackenzie Gore. The Toronto Blue Jays were all over him all throughout this game. Just a great series all around for the Toronto Blue Jays. And it's definitely nice to have this off day and now go into that gauntlet where you have the New York Mets starting Friday. And you're a lot more confident going into the series now than you would have been if this series went differently.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right. If we would have gone, say you take that first game, right? I think there was a lot of worry in Blue Jays land with a lot of the fans. We've even heard from friends texting us saying, oh my goodness, this team is the same as last year, blah, blah, blah. Well, now you look at it after, 5 more games and you're like, okay, this team looks different than last year. There was a lot of complaints I could have had about last year's team and voiced them on here. After that first game, I said it looked a lot like 2024. That outing looked a lot like the 2024 Blue Jays. But since then, I have nothing to complain about. Really, at the end of the day, there are a lot of guys doing things that I did not expect. George Springer to be absolutely one. This guy I thought was going to be a absolute sore spot on this team, and through 6 games, Carter, 7 games, whatever it is, 7 games, I guess, he looks good. I can't complain about it. Does it stick around? Again, I don't want to be hop on this too early and get, and say George Springer's back, because I can't say that after this many games. But everything is trending in the right direction. And I think, again, I'm going to go back to a point I made a couple podcasts ago. Enjoy this while it's here, because we don't know how the rest of the season's going to go. This team is playing nice baseball, fun baseball to watch. They're hitting in bunches. Guys are picking up each other. The pitching staff is looking good. Enjoy this, because, man, it's been a fun couple games to watch.
Yeah, you actually undersold George Springer there, believe it or not. I got 7 games in, but he's been way better than good. He's been absolutely amazing. It's been way better than anyone could have expected George Springer to be. And again, it is only in 21 at-bats, but he has 9 hits in 21 at-bats. He has a 1,187 OPS. We have a Springer dinger. We have him driving runners in. We have this middle of the order bat that is coming up in clutch situations and being productive. I don't care that if it's George Springer, it doesn't matter who you're getting this production from. We need it to be from somebody. And I don't care if George Springer, obviously he's not going to keep up this production for the entirety of the season, but we're having it in front of us now. You might as well get excited about it. You might as well have it in good time and enjoy watching it, because this is something that this might be the best baseball George Springer plays all season. We don't want that to happen, but we saw how it was last season. We see George Springer kind of figuring it out right now. And it's something that you should be happy about. Same thing like the bottom of this order right now. A lot of people are saying, oh, well, Myles Straw went 3 for 4. You can't expect that every single game. Well, Myles Straw went 3 for 4. Myles Straw wasn't even supposed to necessarily be on the opening day roster. So you got to just be a little bit more optimistic about a lot of these things. The Toronto Blue Jays, like you said, Vladdy hasn't really been hitting the way you expected Vladdy. Santander went 2 for 4 today. That was nice to see. But again, early on the season, you haven't really gotten the production that you're expecting from your top 3 guys, other than Bichette. He's obviously been very good. But the bottom of the order is hitting right now. They're scoring 4 or 5 runs seemingly every single game. There's a ton more to get excited about where we are right now than at this point last year, where you were kind of in this mushy middle. The offense wasn't really producing, and you were just kind of scraping by the baseball games that you ended up winning anyway. So 5-2 compared to last year. I think we were 3-4 probably around this time. Much more excited right now. Again, it is early on, but much more excited now than I was last year.
Yeah, and I want to talk a little bit about Easton Lucas, just and sort of the day he had, and sort of the unexpected day he had. But one thing I want to touch on before I get into all of that is Bichette. Bichette's at-bats looked good today. I really can't complain about them. He went 0 for 5, but at the end of the day, some of them were hard-hit balls, just lineouts. Some of them were, just didn't get all of the ball. But the way I look at this, again, especially from the top 3 guys in this order, how did their at-bats look? Instead of what are their stats right now through 7 games. And what I can say is Bichette looks like Bichette. This looks like the Bichette we all know and love. And we're calling to give the guy the bag 2 years ago because of how great he was. So if that's the Bichette we can get this season, I am over the moon. So big shout out to Bichette. Last game, Carter, I know we touched on it a little bit, but the excitement and the enthusiasm we saw from Bichette, which you just never see, Mr. Super Serious all the time, was nice. It looks like he's having fun. And you talked about it a lot last year. When you're winning, it's a lot easier to have more fun. So great to see from Bo.
Early on in the season, we're not as worried about the stat lines. We're not worried about, oh, you have this OPS, you have this on-base percentage. You're more so looking for the trends. And one thing that you have noticed early on is the quality of the at-bat for Bichette is night and day between last year. You talked about, 0 for 5 in this game. Second inning, absolutely hammers a ball to center field, just right at Dylan Cruz. A little bit unfortunate there. Has another one later on in the game where he just misses one off the end of the bat. It's a fly ball to left field. I think, you have that maybe an inch or two. Maybe you switch to the Anthony Volpe torpedo bat. Maybe that's a home run. But, just the quality of a bat for Bichette, that's the biggest thing you can tell is that with Bichette, you're still going to get some of that free swing. You're going to see the odd swing here and there where you're grown at a little bit. That is Bichette, and that is his game. He's one of the best pure hitters in all of baseball. You don't want Bichette to be conservative. You want him to be aggressive up at the plate, and you want him to be confident. Because when he is confident, he is playing his best brand of baseball. So from what we've seen from Bichette, even though, again, it has been through 7 games, it's been a nice thing to see. It was one of the easier bounce back calls that you could have made when you're looking at the Toronto Blue Jays. Bichette having the year he had last year. Expect him to have an all-star caliber Caesar with the Toronto Blue Jays. Wasn't really that hot of a take, and we're seeing it kind of right in front of our face right here. But you've kind of mentioned this a little bit. We haven't really given the man of the hour his time yet, and it is Easton Lucas. You asked me going into this series, Mackenzie Gore versus Easton Lucas, who you're probably going to favor in this matchup. It's going to have to be Mackenzie Gore, obviously, coming off a 13 strikeout performance. Easton Lucas hasn't even started a major league game in his career. He has pitched in the major leagues, but he made his first start, obviously, for the Toronto Blue Jays. Just going over the stat line from Easton Lucas, 5 innings pitched, gave up 1 hit, walked 2 guys, struck out 3. Just looked unbelievable on the mound. And he, in his post game interview, he talked about he made tweaks with his changeup. Started throwing more of like a one-seam changeup, and it worked absolutely wonders. For him with the fastball, he's not blowing anyone away with the fastball. It's touching 95, kind of sitting 93 for the most part. But the best thing about his fastball changeup combo is the tunneling. So they look the exact same coming off the hand. When you have that fastball, even if it is touching 94, you knock 10 miles off that changeup. It looks the exact same, and all of a sudden you lose that 10 miles per hour. He was keeping hitters off balance all day, and you saw that obviously during the game, and you see that in the stat line as well. Only 1 hit given up. Easton Lucas, 5 innings pitched. What an absolute gem for his first career start. Unbelievable.
Yeah, he was smiling ear to ear when he came out for that post-game press conference, and I don't blame the guy. That's what I want to see. Younger guy comes up, hasn't made his MLB impact yet, and gets this in a spot where the team needed him. I know George Springer was asked about Easton Lucas's performance, and Springer said, "Well, in the situation we were put in, he came up and did everything we asked for out of him." And that's what I want to see at the end of the day is the next man up mentality, right? You have to be able to have that. You have to be able to, bring your best stuff on the day we need you. Shout out another guy, Tyler Heineman, same thing. Hey, we need you today. And the key shows up and does his job. They talked about how great Tyler Heineman was at laying down bunts. Well, we got to see that too. Excellent bunt. Situational awareness. Easton Lucas was amazing. Really love to see him. You know what, Carter? I got a ton more I want to get into yet. I think let's take a quick break here. Let's come back. I want to talk a little bit more about Easton Lucas and what sort of he did to fool, I guess, these Nationals hitters, plus a little bit on the bullpen as well, as we do have the off day today. So, they were able to use some of their better guys. We'll get into all that and a lot more coming up right after this short break.
Today's episode is sponsored by Monarch Money. Ever check into your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in. Your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can get track of all your accounts, investments, and spending all in one place, so you can stop just managing your money and start building wealth. Personally, when I moved in the city, I used to live in a small town. One thing that I was doing a lot early on is I had all this access to these new restaurants. So I was ordering a ton of food. And obviously, when you're ordering food, when you're spending money eating out, that adds up very, very quickly. I didn't really realize it until I got Monarch Money. And then I realized I was spending a ton of money on food per week. So I cut that down drastically, and it made budgeting a whole lot easier for me. You guys probably have some of these same problems, whether it's eating out, whether it's online shopping. Ton of things that Monarch Money makes a lot easier for you in your life. You can take control of your finances with Monarch Money today and use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONMLB for half off your first year.
Sorry, I just figured we'd like to see Carter's face a little bit longer, just sitting there staring at the camera. A lot more to get into. It's easy to have fun in this podcast. As of right now, because the Jays are winning. I don't remember a time last year where we just hopped on and just had a blast talking about the Jays. We were shooting it around in the group chat a little bit with all our buddies and Dallin Wilton, Skylar Peters as well. Those two guys, just because it's easy to talk about this team when they're doing well. I hope you guys are all enjoying these games to start the year, because it is a fun team to watch right now. Carter, just a little bit more on Easton Lucas. You talked about the tunneling of his fastball and his changeup and how well that was working. I think the other thing that he was doing really well too was, and maybe again, this goes to a little bit of the Tyler Heineman as well, because Easton Lucas did give Tyler Heineman a great shout out on the post game as well. Just the simple fact of what pitches to be called when. We didn't know, and probably Heineman honestly didn't either, a whole ton of what was going to work in what situation with Easton Lucas. When you come up for one game, right, your first outing, you don't know, you don't have that rapport with your catcher yet, but those two are able to figure things out quick. And the more and more that I watch Tyler Heineman, Carter, the more and more I'm blown away by this guy, that all of a sudden he becomes the guy, the backup catcher that we need. I'm shocked. He throws that guy out in the ninth inning, and I didn't think Tyler Heineman had that in him, to be honest with you.
Yeah, Tyler Heineman deserves all the props. And I think that one thing that helped Tyler Heineman with this Easton Lucas scenario is that normally you wouldn't have a lot of rapport, but Tyler Heineman was going through a spring training battle with Christian Bethancourt, didn't have a spot on this team. Easton Lucas, obviously, as a guy that wasn't a shoe-in to make the roster, they had a lot of time in spring training, obviously, to kind of work through things and figure out like what Easton Lucas can throw, what he likes to throw in certain situations. Tyler Heineman being a veteran as well, obviously helps him a lot with new pitchers, not his first rodeo, getting used to a lot of these new pitchers. But like you said, Tyler Heineman really doing it all. Drops a fantastic bunt down, not on my bingo card whatsoever. Surprised me just as much as it probably surprised the Nationals third baseman. Perfect bunt in that perfect scenario. Toronto Blue Jays becoming the bunt Jays all of a sudden. We got Will Wagner bunting, Ernie Clement bunting. We got Tyler Heineman bunting. Everyone's bunting on the Toronto Blue Jays, but you'll have to see it. And then the throwout, throwing a runner out when Jeff Hoffman was struggling a little bit. I don't think we'll go into Jeff Hoffman more in his performance after, but Tyler Heineman with an absolute seed to second base. Jacob Young, a guy that did steal 30 bases last season. It seemed like everyone kind of knew he was going to steal there once again. Tyler Heineman absolutely guns him out for a guy that, again, wasn't even a shoe-in to make the opening day roster. Me and you both had Bethancourt over Tyler Heineman for the opening day roster, coming in and just making the most of his opportunity that we've seen with a lot of these players. Same thing with Myles Straw, goes 3-4 today with a double, just looked unbelievable. You have Will Wagner having good at-bats at the bottom of the order. And I actually have a stat on the bottom of the order compared to the top of the order in this series. Top of the order, obviously, Bichette, Vladdy, Santander, where you expect the most of your production to come from. They went 7 for 38 this series with 3 RBIs. The bottom of the order, where you had some Allen Roden at-bats, some Tyler Heineman, some David Schneider in there, Nathan Lucas, Myles Straw, these type of players. 11 for 27 with 3 RBIs. That is an unbelievable stat line for your bottom 3 guys in the order. And it's these guys that are making the most of their opportunities with the Toronto Blue Jays. These guys aren't going to be everyday players, but they are providing a massive increase in production, especially when we're not exactly getting from what we want from the top of the order, giving the Toronto Blue Jays a chance to win every single game. And when our starting pitchers have been very good and you have the bullpen for the most part, it's been solid as well. You go put all those things together, and that's how you get a 5-2 baseball game through their first 7 games.
Yeah, man, I'm blown away, and I think you guys might see this. I might the thumbnail might say a ton of surprises, because that's what it's been. I think me and you, looking back at the offseason, probably got a lot of things wrong, at least to start out. There's a lot of guys that have just blown me away. Anthony Santander not being necessarily so far the hitter that we want him to be, but in this game, does the job, right? Andrus Jimenez, dude, is one guy that I just can't give enough praises to. He does everything in big moments where an RBI is possible. He seems to step up and do the job, especially lefty-lefty, which historically he's better average-wise lefty-lefty than he is lefty-righty. So he drives that first run and gets the game underway, and that's what you need, right? But you need the guys. It doesn't always have to be a big blast. And I know, you look at teams like the Yankees and everything like that, and when you get to the playoffs, you need that kind of stuff. But as of right now, for a team that's still trying to figure out their identity, I think you love to see this. And what Popkins has done with this offense and wanting to steal and wanting to do get creative in the box, I really got to give him a big shout out too, Carter.
Yeah, maybe I got to give the hitting coaches a little bit more props on what they're doing, or maybe it just is early season success. But whatever is happening in that Toronto Blue Jays dugout and Toronto Blue Jays practices, they have it figured out on most stands of this team, honestly. You look at the starting pitching, Jose Berrios had 1 bad outing. Max Scherzer, again, there's an injury there. You can't really blame too many people for that. Especially like just for the game performance. But you look at this bullpen, other than, the Jacob Barnes, Richard Lovelady, this bullpen's been pretty solid. And credit to Easton Lucas once again, the Toronto Blue Jays were able to kind of dump out their high leverage guys. In my opinion, their 4 highest leverage guys, Brendan Little, Chad Green, Yimi Garcia, Jeff Hoffman. So you have an off day tomorrow. Easton Lucas goes 5 innings, allows them to use their best relievers and give them their best shot at getting that series sweep against the Washington Nationals. This was a game going into it that you were like, I'm honestly was okay with losing this game going into it. You win a series against the Washington Nationals. I predicted 2 out of 3. I was okay with that. Easton Lucas, again, going to keep throwing the credit over to him for this start because it gave the Blue Jays that opportunity to throw out their best guys. You didn't have to eat innings, and Easton Lucas only went out and threw you 2 innings, gave you 5 innings, a huge start from Easton Lucas. And that obviously made it a lot easier for the Toronto Blue Jays bullpen arms, the guys that you trust more to be effective and get the Washington Nationals out later in the ballgame.
Yeah, and I know, Carter, a lot of people are going to say, well, this was the Washington Nationals, right?
That's the part I was going to bring up too.
But at the end of the day, and this is going to be my argument to that, yes, you're right. It is the Washington Nationals. But when you look at this game, this third game in a vacuum, you're pulling up a guy that wasn't probably going to pitch for your team. He comes out and does an immaculate job. Number 2, the wins against the Washington Nationals count for the same amount of points as the wins against the New York Yankees. So as long as this team can get as many wins as possible against these not so great teams, that's how you get things rolling. You can't go out there and face the best of the best every day and expect not to get burnt out or get drop some games. Like we were happy. I would say after the first game, we were happy with a 2-2 split against Baltimore. If you could split against every AL team and win every other game, I don't know. Yeah, it's not ideal, but it helps get the job done. Your team would be completely burnt out if you just played the best teams all the time. And good luck trying to make a playoff spot. You need to win these games when they're here, and this team is taking full advantage of that. So good on them.
See, my take on this is that how do you think division winners win their division? They're going out and they're beating the bad teams. They're getting that extra win against the bad teams. They're winning series against the Washington Nationals, the Colorado Rockies, the Chicago White Sox, because you're right. The Chicago White Sox win means the exact same as if you beat the Los Angeles Dodgers. So that's where they're gaining a lot of this grounds. They're not losing that meaningless game where maybe they drop the last game, like in this series where you have Mackenzie Gore, you have a chance to sweep. Maybe you drop that game. The Los Angeles Dodgers are probably winning that game, right? So when you look at a lot of these teams, especially teams that are successful, they are beating up on the bad teams. They are winning against the bad teams because you look in the playoffs, these teams are all relatively similar. I guess they'll give the Dodgers, again, a little bit of a different characteristic for this one. But these teams, all these teams have good baseball players. And once you're playing these other teams, you're playing the teams in the playoffs, a lot of the time you're not seeing sweeps in the playoffs anyway, for the most part. So the teams, whether you're playing a team that's not very good in the standings or you're playing the top team in the standings, these games mean the same anyway. And it's a lot easier to beat the worst teams than the better teams to gain traction in the standings and maybe leapfrog some of your division rivals.
Yeah, that's what you need. That's 100% what you need. So shout out to this team from this performance yesterday. It was massive, and they needed it, and they got the job done. Off day, they get a little break before they head to play the Mets. We're not going to tee that one up too much. We're going to save that for tomorrow's episode. Really, dive into what the Mets lineup looks like, who's going to be pitching what games, but a little bit more when we come back. I want to tee up a little bit also what's going on the next day, Carter. And I know there's a few things I'll leave that you want to touch on as well. So after this short break, we'll come back with all that. Today's episode brought to you by Just Ingredients. When it comes to fueling your body, quality matters. That's why Just Ingredients is changing the game with clean, high-quality products designed to support better health and peak performance. Trust me, I was taking their pre-workout and their protein powder, and it tastes great. It not only tastes great, it does the job that I'm looking for. And that's the biggest thing. I've tried other brands. I've tried this and that. But at the end of the day, the products being clean and being healthy for you is a big one for me. And as you know, they are NSF certified. They got protein powder, electrolytes, pre-workout, creatine. All these things, help me better my day-to-day life, all religiously tested to ensure they're free from substances banned by major athletic organizations. Just Ingredients has also partnered with two-time MVP Bryce Harper, who trusts their NSF certified sports line to fuel his training and recovery. So there you go. Another guy that trusts this brand. If you don't want to take it from me, take it from Bryce Harper. Visit justingredients.us and use code LOCKEDONMLB for 20% off. And for more wellness tips, follow at Just Ingredients on Instagram.
Today's episode is sponsored by Wonderful Pistachios. Looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious? Crack into a good source of protein with Wonderful Pistachios. Wonderful Pistachios is one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help you keep feeling fuller longer. Personally, I love the no shells variety. I find that if I just go and I grab an apple or a banana, I find that like in an hour and a half, I become very hungry again with the no shells variety. Perfect, easy to go, convenient snack that ties me over for a few hours. I can actually go out, have a night with my friends, go out whether I'm playing a sport, just go and watch a movie. I have every opportunity once I have that Wonderful Pistachios, I get them into me. It ties me over for a long time and into my next meal, where I find if I go with a different snack, a lot of the time I'm just hungry within an hour again. And we all know what happened. We all know what happens when you're hungry. You're not in as good of a mood. With Wonderful Pistachios, perfect opportunity to have that grab and go snack. Get snacking and get cracking with the snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. That's wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more.
Carter, a lot to get into here just in the last few minutes that we have with everybody. But a couple things I wanted to say. We are going to be talking about these torpedo bats tomorrow. Me and Carter have done a little bit of a deep dive. We've gone over some things. We have our opinions. I know there are a lot of people, for those of you who saw Dave Portnoy on Fox News the other day, he went over this with his takes, obviously wild and insane that you expect from Dave Portnoy. I have a little bit of a different take with all the information we've gathered from them. I've talked to a couple experts over the past few days as well when it comes to the sports world and how these things are designed, the rules and regulations against it. So a pretty cool episode, especially when considering that it's taking over baseball. So we're going to do a deep dive into that tomorrow, Carter. Without giving anything away, I guess, with your opinions, it is sort of wild how many people are talking about this now.
For me, it gets crazy when, like your FanDuel, your betting sites go out and they're making a separate line for torpedo bats. So that's all I'm going to say about that. But, obviously it is circulating pretty heavily if the betting sites are getting involved here as well. But we're going to have a couple takes. Obviously, it's been one of the biggest storylines of the Major League Baseball. And it's been weird because a lot of what we've seen from the Yankees, they have been launching with these balls. Look at a lot of other players throughout the league, they're not having that same success. So as a Toronto Blue Jays fan, definitely interesting to see that for some reason the Yankees are having a lot more success with these bats hitting all those home runs. As I said on the last episode, 18 home runs in 4 games. Is that good? You tell me. Unfortunately, it is. But yeah, so it's good. It's an interesting topic going around the MLB right now. A couple things that I want to get into. First one is still about the game. It's the second inning. We had a little bit of a unique second inning with the Myles Straw double. So he hits a ball into the right center field gap. Dylan Cruz gets a glove on it, has the ball in his hand, but then hits the wall, kind of falls out there. There was just some base running. Like nobody had any idea what was going on. Tyler Heineman is kind of rounding. He's staying at second. He thought Dylan Cruz caught the ball. Ernie Clement kind of looks back, realizes he dropped it, runs through a stop sign. Overall, just give me kind of your opinions on like that whole play.
Yeah, so I'm breaking this down from of playing the game, coaching the game, obviously observing a lot of the game as well. What happens on that play is very interesting because that ball does look like it is caught. And so runners start breaking back to their bases. But when they do that and Tyler Heineman reaches second and Ernie Clement does, like you said, blow through that stop sign, not really looking at the Jays third base coach, he runs right through that. The problem is Myles Straw is on his way to second, forcing Tyler Heineman to now run to third. Ernie Clement, either way, couldn't have gone back to third. And at the end of the play there, I think he's safe. From what I could see, I understand the ruling. A tough play to really be able to tell if he did clip Ernie's arm on the way by. I don't think it did. I think he was safe. But everybody's saying that he blew through that stop sign. It's a base running error. Even if he doesn't blow through that stop sign and then one of them gets tagged out on the base pass, I think Ernie gives them the best shot to not only score a run, but to save it out on that play as well. Because Myles Straw is coming up to second so quickly and Heineman is forced now to run to third. So very interesting play all the way around. But at the end of the day, I think all the right decisions were made for the situation they were put into.
Yeah, I think after once you're kind of stuck in that situation, I think you kind of had to do what they did. But there's the things that you got to do before that situation. Ideally, you're going to have bases loaded. Bichette's coming up to the plate with one out. That's a scenario you don't want to run into an extra out for yourself. And what does Bichette do the next at bat? Hammers the ball in the center field. That's going to get you a run. If I'm Myles Straw on this play, I'm going to kind of break it down between every player. Myles Straw sees Dylan Cruz drop the ball. He's like, I'm probably going for a triple at this point. It's probably what's going on in his head. Forgets Tyler Heineman's on second base or assumes that he's going to third base. Yeah. He's already at second base. He's Tyler Heineman is there. Realizes that Ernie Clement's kind of going anyway. Sends Tyler Heineman. You're Heineman. You're seeing Myles Straw come from behind you. If you're Heineman, I think you made the right play there. You got to go tag up. You're trying to get to third base there. But and then you have Ernie Clement just kind of in a tough spot. Not really a lot he can do there. And a good call by the third base coach, Carlos Fabulous, for holding up that stop sign to Ernie Clement. Because again, in that scenario, what you probably want to happen is everyone to move base to base. And you have Bichette coming up. You have Vladimir Guerrero Jr. after. You have the meat of your order. You don't want to run into more outs when you have your best players on your team getting those at-bats. So for this way the situation panned out, you're right. If Ernie Clement stays there, somebody's running into an out anyway. You have Tyler Heineman come to third. You'd have Myles Straw at second. You're getting it out there. So you might as well send Ernie Clement home. I think he was safe as well. So it should have worked out. But again, in retrospect, didn't matter anyway, but just kind of a chaotic sequence of events from a lot of players and coaches on the Toronto Blue Jays. The last thing, I'll throw it over to you.
Just one more thing. And I know, when we talk about the craziness of baseball, right? This is one of those plays that makes you love the game, right? It's when something so ridiculous happens like that, where that catch probably should have been made, thought it was made. Oh, no, it's not made. And then it spirals out of control. And that's sort of the bit that I love about baseball is things like this can happen. Even after that play, the Bichette hit, right? Hard hit ball, line drive to center field, gets caught. That's baseball. As great of an at-bat that Bichette had, and he smacked that ball. That's baseball. And that's the fun of the game is, you can't, like you said early in this podcast, everything can change with one swing of the bat. So it was a fun, interesting play. And then the breakdown of it all afterwards also, sort of keeps you engaged for sure.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you like seeing Fabulous make the right call. Like we've had some instances with our third base coach that they have made some interesting calls, to say the least, and some interesting decisions. So it's nice that he's getting them right, especially early on in the season. Last thing I just wanted to bring up is some injury updates on a few of your Toronto Blue Jays. Talked about that a little bit today throughout the broadcast, as well as we have some tweets here. Some updates on Max Scherzer. I have this from Shai Davidi. I know you have a little bit on this as well. Max Scherzer received a cortisone shot in his right thumb yesterday. According to John Schneider, the aim is to reduce the inflammation and to reduce pain. He is scheduled as day-to-day. So they did avoid surgery, nothing major. They're trying to make this a little bit more of a short-term thing, trying to fight through it. How do you feel about this whole Max Scherzer situation?
Yeah, so I did a little bit of extra looking into this and sort of to see Max Scherzer's history with the cortisol shots as well. Turns out he has always reacted well to this. So I think this is a very positive there, because if he reacts well to the shot, that gives him a little bit of relief. And I don't think I saw Max Scherzer say this as well. It's not really about the pain. It's more about not wanting to do more damage. And right now, with the no structural damage, nothing like that, as long as the pain isn't so crazy, and that's what this shot will help with, I think we could see Max Scherzer get back probably earlier than definitely earlier than it could have been if there was damage or surgery needed. So I think he is going to toss on Friday. I believe it is just playing some catch, whatever, seeing how it feels after the shot. And then Sunday, actually, he might get on the mound. I heard something about it. That is unconfirmed about that bit. I did hear a little snippet of that in the broadcast. So take with that what you will. But it's sounding like everything is going as good as it can for Max Scherzer with this injury.
And the way it is scheduled out is he's probably not going to make a start against the Red Sox after the Easton Lucas start. I think you're okay with doing that. But after that, it is the Baltimore Orioles. That is a very good lineup. Easton Lucas would really be put to the test against the Baltimore Orioles, but you could say that against the Red Sox as well. Pretty good lineup over there. But I mean, when you have Rafael Devers striking out literally every at-bat, makes it a little bit easier over there. And just some other updates. This one's a little bit more of a minor one, but it is nice to see Erik Swanson throwing off of a mound on Friday. Obviously that any production there, any sort of positive news about the recovery, that's something to get excited about. And the last one is Daulton Varsho. Daulton Varsho hit live BP and played catch throwing from 150 feet. Hope is that he is back by the middle of the month. That they're hoping to get him back, obviously, when he is able to throw from the outfield. This whole Varsho thing has been a little bit weird and chaotic as well. We thought he'd be out until May. Then we thought middle April. Then we thought, oh my God, maybe he's going to play opening day because he's hitting so well. And then obviously the shoulder stuff was ramping up a little bit sooner than we thought. Now it's looking like, again, middle to late April. And it's kind of right back to where we initially thought things were going to happen. And with the Daulton Varsho stuff, when you have George Springer playing this well, you got Alan Roden, who's, again, getting at bats. You want him to get him in the lineup. Take your time with this guy. Take your time with Max Scherzer. Take your time with Daulton Varsho, especially, you started out 5-2. You have a long season ahead of you. Take your time with these guys. You want these guys to come back and not have more serious injuries. Don't rush them back to this team. I think you're doing okay with what you got right now.
Yeah, I want to see Daulton Varsho, when he comes back, be at his best. No worries, no hesitation, run through walls, make diving plays, and have no ifs, ands, or buts about the injury. So take as long as he needs, especially because this team has started off well. That really helps it and gives this team options in regards to Daulton Varsho. So as long as he needs to be at 100%, I would much rather see Daulton Varsho at 100%. Now, do I think that Daulton Varsho could have put a bat in his hands and played DH? Yeah, probably, with the way he was playing. But again, then you risk an injury. And if this team was doing worse to start the season, maybe that option would have changed. But this team is playing well as of right now. And take your time until this lineup either drops off the cliff or Daulton Varsho is 100% better. That'll be my answer.
I'll be honest. I don't know if Daulton Varsho is going 3 for 4 like Myles Straw did today. So I'm not expecting Myles Straw to go 3 for 4 every single day. But hey, I mean, you're loving the production that you're getting out of him early. Toronto Blue Jays will preview this more. Obviously, you got the New York Mets, got a gauntlet of a schedule coming up. Not expected to sweep the good teams, so it's definitely nice to sweep the bad teams. That when you do get them. Toronto Blue Jays 5-2 going into their first off day of the season. So nice to get some of their bullpen guys a break, especially when they've had this. All their high leverage guys throw. So definitely nice to get them well rested at the start of the season. Last quick thing wanted to throw in. I know we're kind of taking it long already. Jeff Hoffman throwing 4 out of 5 days. Just overall, where are you at with that? Do you think they're overthrowing them early? Is that a spot you like that they're throwing them in when they have a chance to win that ball game? Just overall, how are you feeling about the use of Jeff Hoffman early on?
No, I saw some people tweet about this and some other things, Carter. And at the end of the day, for Jeff Hoffman, with the off day coming, I think this is a situation where you can use everybody and you sort of throw whatever at the wall. You want to be able to get these wins when you can get them. So again, using him here, great idea. He comes in, cleans the game up. Again, a little hairy, but at the end of the day, it was pretty solid and he gets the job done. So I have no problem. I don't think there's anything with overthrowing him, especially with an off day coming. You don't know where you're going to be at on Friday in that game. Maybe you don't use him. Who knows? So we'll have to wait and see. But I think overall, yeah, good decision.
Yeah, for me, there's a few things that go into this. Obviously, with the off day, I gave him some incentives. 7 innings pitched the day before, not even really an outing necessarily. Like that's pretty efficient for a pitcher. So him going another day, not really a big deal. And obviously, it's Jeff Hoffman. Just ask him how he's feeling. Ask him how the arm is feeling. He's probably going to be able to tell you better than anyone. And this guy has been worked up as a starter as well. Maybe that's a little more incentive that his arm is probably ahead of schedule for this early on the season. So I think at this point, you have 4 and 5 days. I like the decision to go and get that sweep, especially when you have this schedule coming up. Jeff Hoffman, if he was tired, if he was hurting, he probably would have said something, and you wouldn't have pitched Jeff Hoffman in this situation. So I think they obviously ran this by Jeff Hoffman. He was obviously ready to go out there, and he produced another save for the Toronto Blue Jays. That is all I got for this episode. Kind of a little bit of a jam-packed one, as they all have been early on in this Blue Jays season. Just want to say thank you guys for watching, the likes, comments, everything recently has been much appreciated. Still hammering out the shorts. We're going out with the graphics. Got the podcast coming out every single day. So we appreciate all the support over there. But Braden, do you have anything else to add before we do head out for this episode?
No, well, I appreciate everybody watching, tuning in for the shows, the shorts and everything, the TikToks, whatever. It really is going great. You guys have been fantastic. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button, like Carter said. And, we'll be back tomorrow talking Torpedo Bats, teeing up the series. It is going to be a fun day, an interesting one for sure, to say the least. So we'll see you guys then.